ATS is nothing but it's an automated, applicant tracking software. A lot of Fortune 500 companies, if I have to put a data there, 19.8% of Fortune 500 companies globally, they use ATS to screen the applications, right?
Mhm.
So there is this, guidelines when it comes to resume writing. And I'm seeing that, either they are going for this traditional outdated format or they think it is a modern format like using Canva-based resume and they just float it in the market. So there is this misinformation when it comes to resume. There are certain guidelines when it comes to resume. And, like I would want our freshers or, new grads or even students to understand those guidelines and practice that. Resume builders have been for a very long time, right?
Hmm.
Now AI-based resume builders have come up. That is true. And the bullet points are generated much more, like, it is more refined. I
Yeah.
must give it to the
The
advancements.
credit.
But
Yeah.
the problem here is if you're not you don't have a clue about your accomplishments and
Yeah.
you don't know how to represent that in a resume, and that's just a problem, right?
Yeah.
Whatever generic statement that's going to generate, you're going to copy paste it, and there will be like hundreds of CVs, like thousands of CVs similar to that role. There'll be a lot of candidates using the same resume.
Yeah.
Where is your USP?
Hi, and welcome to this episode of The Human Compass, navigating life with the human compass. And we've been talking to you all about life skills, soft skills, all through these earlier episodes. Today, we have a very special episode on curriculum vitae, or CV, or resume as they call it. And we have a very special guest who's joining me from Chennai. She's Sridevi Ravichandran, and she's basically a career strategy coach and also the founder of Shrishi Career Academy. So let's welcome Sridevi on this podcast. Hi, Sridevi, and welcome to my podcast.
Hi, Mr. Santosh. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. Thank you.
Most welcome. Sridevi, the kind of India's demographics that we have today, a lot of people are very young in India, and that shows the demand or the tremendous potential of these youngsters in the job arena. And I'm sure you probably will be the most, and people like you will be the most busiest people on the planet, because you would have been rushed with CVs, working with your own clients, getting jobs, making sure they get, the CVs fit in. What's been your experience so far in the CVs that we talk of in 2024?
All right. See, traditionally, the purpose of any resume is to get that interview call, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen the pattern evolve since I've been a college student and now being a career coach, right? Writing resumes professionally. I've seen that change. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I have found is still in the market, right? For
Hmm.
the mass, there is a
Yeah.
huge gap when it comes to job search strategies or even resume writing, right?
Hmm.
Still, there are a lot of misinformation that is circulating when it comes to resume.
Yeah.
See, a resume has to, as I said, it has to get you that interview call, and it has its own format and template and content around it,
Yeah.
right? So, I'm seeing nowadays a lot of Canva-based resumes out there. No offense to it, but there is this software called ATS. If time permits, we can talk about that
Yes,
in
please.
depth as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. So ATS is nothing but it's an automated, applicant tracking software. A lot of Fortune 500 companies, if I have to put a data there, 19.8% of Fortune 500 companies globally, they use ATS to screen the applications, right?
Hmm.
So there is this, guidelines when it comes to resume writing. And I'm seeing that, either they are going for this traditional outdated format or they think it is a modern format like using Canva-based resume and they just float it in the market. So there is this misinformation when it comes to resume. There are certain guidelines when it comes to resume. And, like I would want our freshers or, new grads or even students to understand those guidelines and practice that,
Yeah.
to
Can
get
you?
their
Yeah.
chance. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, can you share some of these gaps that you come across from, be it CVs through Canva or otherwise?
Mhm.
Uh, and also, what kind of other guidelines, whether basic guidelines, I think one needs to be kept in mind? Because what I understand is a lot of CVs, what happens, and we all have done that, right? Somebody's
Mhm.
CV, we copy paste and we just forget
Exactly.
changing the phone
Exactly.
number, and it's a
Yes, yes,
disaster from day
yes.
one. So maybe if
Yeah.
you could share those basic headache problems that you come across, and
Mhm.
then the kind of recent CVs that you've come across where people need to really look at and give it a thought.
Sure. So let me start from the outdated format, like which we are familiar with, right? Having this career objective, having the contact information, personal details like marital status,
Yeah,
father's name, right? And having this declaration statement, yours faithfully, all that plays. That is the most outdated format that I could think of when it comes to resume, right?
yeah,
So the problem again, what I'm, trying to say here is the contact information. Yes, that's good, but no need to add your entire full, home address
yeah.
because at that time it was different, it was a necessary. Now everything is in the, no one is going to mail you the job letter,
Ever.
right? Everything
Correct.
is under, like, digital world. It's everything is in digital way. So you don't need to address, put your whole address, full address there. And this career objective, I have a problem with career objective even for freshers. I feel that it is limiting your potential. Like, you can show your key skills, you can show what value that you can offer to the company.
Hmm.
As a fresher, as a working professional, even an experienced person, professional summary gives you that scope.
Yeah.
Whereas, career objective, yes, you can, kind of merge it with a summary, but that shouldn't be your only statement.
Hmm.
And I don't know whether you remember this, having this tabular column listing all your educational qualifications.
Yeah.
Sadly, what happens is this ATS, it doesn't read, tabular column as of now. It might
Hmm.
change in the future, but
Hmm.
for now, it cannot, read infographics. It cannot scan tabular column. It cannot, scan the pie charts and all this, fancy
Yeah.
elements that you put in the resume. So tabular column doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also see like, even qualified candidates, like who
Hmm.
have done some good internship projects,
Yeah.
they don't list their quantifiable accomplishments, they put the responsibilities alone,
Hmm.
right? And for a fresher, you can have one page CV, that's enough.
Yeah.
If you have projects, trust me, there is this one candidate who was sent it for a review, right? And he has 7 pages of his resume. Like I think almost 6 pages was just projects.
Hmm.
You can use GitHub, you can use portfolio websites. There are a lot of things available now. Like, you can use those links and put that in the contact information and
Yeah.
keep your resume one page.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Leave out the personal details.
Correct.
So what
Hmm.
I'm basically saying is like, with the traditional format or modern format, keep it
Yeah.
content driven and text driven.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Okay.
trying. Keep it simple. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what are the kind of keywords, because keywords make a huge difference, right? It's a make or a break of a CV for
Mhm.
someone. What are the kind of
Mhm.
keywords one needs to be aware of? Because that's something very important to be known. And how does one use these keywords and where does he use it? He or she use it?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, like, for me, I don't know if anyone who follows on LinkedIn, they knows how much I stress upon, like, doing your analysis first and then you start your resume,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Without knowing where you're going,
Yeah.
without knowing a clarity on your next job or role,
Yeah.
keywords will not work for you.
Hmm.
So it must start with self-analysis. It must start with job analysis, find the gap, address the gap, right? And like, then these keywords,
Yeah.
then you can easily kind of, find those keywords in using JDs or, there are a lot of sites available in the market.
Yeah.
See, let me, before going there, let me, understand. I'll tell about the importance of keywords first, right?
Hmm.
See, keywords are nothing but phrases. We all have come across the word keyword, because if you want something from Google, what we do, we just type, okay, if you want to
Yeah.
eat a ice cream or something, best ice cream in Chennai or best ice cream in Singapore, or like,
Yeah.
that's what we do, right? So
Yeah.
just to narrow down results.
Hmm.
Similar way, keywords also plays a huge,
Yeah.
role when it comes to resume. To make it more like, easily understandable, I'll tell you this. Sourcing generally happens predominantly in two ways.
Hmm.
Okay. So let's say the recruiter is going to job boards like Naukri or Indeed, right?
Yeah.
And all these sites, and they are using keywords like job title, numbers, years of experience, technical skills, your soft skills, everything makes keywords.
Yeah.
Okay, they're just going to search and your CV is going to come up, your resume is going to come up.
Hmm.
Okay, that's one way of sourcing. The other way is when you apply to jobs like LinkedIn, like, that is like open jobs like LinkedIn. So again, as I said, there is a system called ATS to simplify the process.
Yeah.
That is going to look for keywords.
Okay.
So keywords are nothing but that is associated to the role that you're applying for.
Okay.
Right? That could be technical skills, soft skills, your job title, years of experience, your industry specific keywords, all this makes up, to keywords. And when you know where you're going,
Yeah.
right, when you know your target role, that's how you make your resume targeted to get yourself chance of getting that interview call.
Okay, that's important. So let's talk about the ATS or the applicant tracking system. As you say, most of the companies are using the ATS. what are the do's and don'ts one must remember? Because in the back end, they have no clue as to what happens to their CV. And for all you know, a great CV could be completely, ignored by an ATS for
Yes.
some fault of the particular applicant. What are the key do's and
Yeah.
don'ts one needs to know?
Okay. The applicant tracking system, I would not say that it selects or rejects resume.
Yeah.
People have to understand this. And
Yeah.
ATS has many purpose. It
Mm-hmm.
is predominantly used to make the recruitment process simple, right? But
Okay.
as a job seeker or a student or a working professional, like what you have to understand is when you're applying for a job. Let's
Hmm.
say that you apply for a job on Monday, right?
Yeah.
In LinkedIn, you have 100 applicants. You
Hmm.
come back and see the same job in 2 to 3 days' time. There'll be around 1,000 applications for the same job. If there
Yeah.
is a word remote to it, then you can say it like, I would say like it would have doubled, right?
Yeah.
So, it is not humanly possible for a recruiter to
Of course.
screen and, scan all those 1,000 applications. And that's where ATS comes in. Okay. So what happens is ATS has certain specific guidelines. There are like thousands of ATS in the market. So you cannot tell, okay, ATS behaves in a certain way, but there are certain guidelines, like
Hmm.
which I pointed out in the beginning of the
Yeah.
like this one, where look, you cannot read or scan charts into infographics, tableau columns, and if your resume is not properly readable, it is not sectioned,
Hmm.
right? Then your important key skills may be ignored.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
it has to keywords plays a predominant role. So
Yeah.
a recruiter or hiring manager, they would feed the keywords beforehand into the software,
Yeah.
right?
Got it.
And that ATS would be ranking your resume based on those guidelines with the
Okay.
keywords and the formatting and everything. So ranking,
Okay.
that's the
Hmm.
word you have to remember here.
Hmm.
So your aim should be like coming to the first 10 or 20, like, into that category,
Yeah.
right? And one or two search results, like how
Hmm.
Google is going
Yeah.
to give you,
Your
right?
YouTube videos come in the top ranks.
Exactly, exactly. That's how it has to. You should ensure that resume must come into that gather.
Yeah.
And it's not stopping there.
Yeah.
The human is going to see whether your resume is going to be called or you are going to be called for the interview or not.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So resume is going to present that ATS is going to present that resume to the human recruiter or the hiring manager. They're
Yeah.
going to decide whether you'll be called for the interview or not.
Agree.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is the process that goes, after you apply for any job.
Yeah.
So
You
ensure that,
mentioned, yeah, you
yeah,
mentioned about tabular columns, being
yeah,
ignored by ATS, which is
yes,
quite scary because
yeah,
most of the CVs, right, applicants, obviously their 10th, 12th,
mm,
the graduation,
mm,
the post graduation, it's always in that typical tabular form. How does one
exactly.
then take that forward? Because if the tabulars aren't being recognized by ATS.
Simple, keep it as simple as possible. Keep it as, content driven as possible. As I said, so let me tell you the key elements when it comes to resume, right? There is this contact information, your name.
Yeah.
If you're a fresher, no need to add your job title. That's completely fine. But you have to add a professional email address, right?
Mm-hmm.
Please don't add cute Sanya or anything that's going to throw off the like recruiter. So
Yeah.
have a professional email ID and a contactable, contact number, right?
Yeah.
It has to be like when a recruiter is calling, you should be available to take the call, not your dad or your mom
Yeah.
or anyone
Yeah.
else,
Yeah.
right? So that is there. And the
Yeah.
next one is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like becoming it's becoming huge in even India as well. So have a LinkedIn
Absolutely.
ID in the
Hmm.
contact information. So if you have a project or a portfolio link or GitHub, again add that in the contact information. Then comes your summary. It's a
Hmm.
great way to showcase your key skills, right? If you have done an internship that is relevant to the job that you're applying for, that must go there. And then maybe you can add an objective statement on what is it you want from the
Hmm.
organization. Like,
Yeah.
offer, tell what you can offer, and then ask. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
the way your professional summary should be. And then comes your, if you're a fresher, educational qualification. Keep it
Agreed.
simple,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
University name, the degree that you have done, the CPGA, that's it.
Yeah.
No need to add anything else there,
Hmm.
right? And to be frank, your marks from your board exams, it is not that relevant. You can
Yeah.
even that's not there. Like if you're a working professional, please take that out completely.
Absolutely.
Keep
Yeah.
your PG and
Latest.
UG. That's
Yeah.
enough.
Agreed. Agreed.
Exactly. And for them, even certifications are important. That
Yeah.
shows that you are someone who's skilling constantly, right?
Yeah.
And then comes your internship experience, then comes your projects, then you can talk about your interests or any other extra, it's going to help you get that push right into that interview call. And that's it. No need to add declaration statement. Don't sign the CV. Not
Yeah.
It's not needed at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is the
Even
simple format.
references, right? A lot of people write references
Yeah,
of some two individuals. I'm like, oops, is that really acceptable even today's date?
yeah.
because people can be reached out. Eventually, an HR may want to have a reference, but that's at a later stage when it comes to almost being there, right? Coming to AI, right, which is now a buzzword in every industry, and I'm sure it's already hit the CV industry, where an automated CV of an individual is generated. What's been your experience so far? It must be so funny to see CVs which probably just don't match the profiles because somebody has worked on an AI CV and not even looked into it. Is it?
That's a problem. There are a lot of resume builders out there. Resume builders have been for a very long time, right? Now AI-based resume builders have come up. That is true. And the bullet points are generated much more, it is more refined. I must give it to the advancement.
The credit,
But the problem here is if you're not you don't have a clue about your accomplishments and you don't know how to represent that in a resume, and that's just a problem. Right? Whatever generic statement that's going to generate, you're going to copy paste it, and there will be like hundreds of CVs, like thousands of CVs similar to that role. There'll be a lot of candidates using the same resume. Where is your USP? Right? Where is your individuality? So it always starts from your accomplishments. Even the internships, like I pointed out, listing out responsibility is not going to help you much. What is the accomplishment there?
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah. How the importance of soft skills, because that can't be underscored, right? Soft skills are very important, and the way your CV CV is of course the document that probably one looks at, but the importance of soft skills, if you could share.
Soft skills, then if you take any report, right, that's going to talk about the futuristic skill. Of course, AI, digital literacy, it's going to be there, but you will have your cognitive, your critical thinking, your problem solving, your emotional intelligence has its place, because these are human skills. It's not going to go anywhere. That's going to separate, that's going to that's going to give you that advantage over others. Right? So highlighting that, see, I'm not when it comes to representing them in the resume, I'm not a fan of just, listing them as a separate section as soft skills, but you have to strategically place them in your summary. You have to strategically place them in your, bullet points, right? In your internship, or it could be your projects. But it has to be represented. And if you're someone who undervalues those skills, you really need to get a reality check, because those are the skills that's going to help, you differentiate from others. Right? So those are really, really important, right? You have to nurture it. Yes.
For a fresher, if you could just underline a few or mention a few of the soft skills that are very, very important for to be successful, if you could share.
Communication. I'm going to start with the basics: communication skills, team management, interpersonal skills, your problem solving, your critical thinking, your emotional intelligence. All this comes, and there is this concept called cognitive flexibility. Right? It is not multitasking anywhere. It's like cognitive flexibility that also going to play a huge role, right, in the future. These are like the basics, right? You really need to have those skills and nurture it. Leadership as well. I can give you people might they might get scared when they hear the word soft skill, or they might misunderstand when it comes to soft skill, right? Do you have a habit of, do you play cricket, or if you play football, or maybe you're a gamer, I don't know, you might have your own extracurricular activities, right? When you analyze it, you would see there are certain underlying skills which you're good at. That would be a soft skill as well, right? So if you are playing in a team, you're a team player. Right? You naturally have that interpersonal skill. If you're captain of your cricket team, your debate team, right? You have that leadership skill. Let's say that you are in a drama club or something, right? You're good at public speaking. Automatically. So it always starts with self-analysis, and you can pick up your soft skills from extracurricular activities as well.
Absolutely.
I want freshers especially to understand this.
That's a great way to bring out the soft skills of one person. Sridevi, how important is networking? Because that's something that can play a very key and a very crucial role, right, for not just freshers but even within the organization who got experience.
See, networking, for students, especially for job search, it's really important, right? They should start as early as possible. They shouldn't wait till graduating and starting their job. It has to be as early as possible. They might think, okay, where do I go and find those people to network with? Start with the alumni, Like reach out to people in LinkedIn. Now, people like things are much more different than it was 10 years back,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Don't reach out to people in LinkedIn. Like, go to your college page and find your alumni, send them a message. There is this concept called informational interviews. I don't know whether like many know about this. So informational interviews are basically just requesting someone's time
Yeah.
via message, or like, it could be a 15 minutes phone call or a Zoom
Yeah.
call like this, right? Just ask them for their 20 to 15 minutes. Send them a message. You shouldn't like off the bat ask them for an informational interview. Of course,
Yeah.
start with like introducing about yourself and what is that you like about them. Like, is there any common connection? Leverage that, and then you request that, right? So this way you can network, and of course, I do accept digitally we get information like this,
Yeah.
but getting that real-time information from the person who's working, who's
Yeah.
doing it, who have done it, those real-time insights are like valuable, right?
Okay.
Leverage this. I would say for, not just for, freshers or new grads, even working professionals, if you need to get any advice, you're looking for a job, looking
Yeah.
for a promotion, you want to know something about that company that you're targeting,
Yeah.
request information, you find the right connections and leverage it. That's what I would
Absolutely.
say.
Okay. And lastly, Sridevi, what are the kind of recent trends in the job search world, for these recent years? Because there have been lots of changes probably with social media coming in, and I'm sure there are ways and means of interviewing, because of course, with COVID, of course, web-based interviews were very common, right? But what are the kind of recent trends you've come across in interview techniques or interview presentations, or how does it go about?
Okay, see, when it comes to, yes, there are a lot of, there are differences when it comes to interview techniques and all that. But
Yeah.
I believe in this old, how do I put it? Like in preparation, right? I believe in this preparation is key. So
Yeah.
without preparing and having this wing it approach is something that I don't stand for at all. So
Yeah.
it always starts with preparation, right? But if I could give the latest trend would be to have your stories ready,
Yeah.
right? Your interview stories ready,
Hmm.
right? Even if you're a like fresher, ma'am, like I don't have anything to say, you have plenty of things to say,
Yeah.
right? You have a lot of things to say. You really look into your, as I said, extracurricular. It could be your internship, it could be your project. Have your stories ready, right?
Yeah.
And there is this method called STAR method. There is something called SOAR method.
Hmm.
STAR is nothing but situation, task, action, and result. Use this methodologies and prepare your stories in advance that is
Yeah.
relevant to the job that you're applying for,
Hmm.
right? So
Okay.
that is one technique that I would want listeners to take away as the
Yeah.
latest interview technique. It's nothing but structuring your answers in advance,
Yeah.
preparing it in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sridevi Ravichandran, career strategy coach, and also the founder of Shrishi Career Academy. Thank you so much for being on this podcast, Sridevi, on Human Compass.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm so happy. I hope that, there were a few points that the listeners would take away from this and it'll be helpful for them. Thank you, Mr. Santosh. Thank you for the invite.
And well, with that, we come to the end of this amazing, beautiful, informative, knowledge based episode of Navigating Life with the Human Compass from me, Santosh Sirur, and my guest, Sridevi. Thanks so much for joining on this podcast. Bye bye.
Thank you.